And I never, told him that wasn't true. I just allowed him to be. And as he got older, in middle school, kids would pick on him, and he could care less. He's like, whatever. He was living as his true, authentic self. And teachers either loved him or hated him, because he wasn't compliant with things he knew that wasn't true. He had, he had a really good awareness of what was real in this world and what was not. Wow. And he would even talk and say things, and I'm like, okay, Jeremy, whatever, because it was above my head.
Right, yeah.
So he was considered an indigo child, and, here to enlighten us, which he did. And so he was a neat kid.
Right. Now, are because you have 5 children total, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. So the other 4, are they similar in that regard, or is there just something that I just always sensed about Jeremy? And I don't know, maybe that's not even a fair question, but it's such a, I just love tapping into this, how he is so 100% so completely connected to you, and all of because I think these things are available to us. And I think if we're alert, we can see them. And even when our kids are little, if we listen to what they're saying, and unfortunately we get busy with our lives and going to work and cooking dinner and all, and we miss the messages from these little ones. So for Jeremy to say, Mom, I can see this woman's body rising above the car. It's like, wow, and I think back to my years when I was a young parent. If my kids would have said that, I would have been like, what is wrong with you? Because I was nowhere close to being awake or enlightened or knowing anything other than get up and get to work and do what you're supposed to do. And, that's it.
About my other children, were they, like Jeremy? I think for my first 2, I was a super busy mom. And probably missed a lot of it. I know my second child, Nicholas, is very much light, and he had a difficult time transitioning here to Earth. So he struggled. I understand a lot more now than I did then, and probably did not handle it, as the best that I could have. But he's it's so funny. People follow him and they look up to him, and he's like, oh, whatever. But he's a leader. And he's a person that guides. And my 2 youngest that are 18, they're my twin daughters, they are pretty enlightened, because I became more enlightened throughout their years, that, they know Jeremy's here, they know he's fine, and they've done well with Jeremy's transition. So I've gotten better as a parent throughout the years, obviously. But I probably didn't pick up so much on the wonderful gifts, that my first 2 had to share, just so busy with life and all, being a mother. But they're all special, all very special.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I never mean for it to sound like, is one better than the other, nothing like that. But I just know in my own personal life, and I just have the 2 children, and my daughter and son, day and night difference, stark differences. And I just know that I missed so many signs, and especially with my son, who I just know that I missed all of these signs, because it was like, I'm busy. I don't have, and it's like, if I could do it all over again and be able to be in that place to do it better. So, all of a sudden, we're going to start running out of time here, Rhonda. So I want to ask you one question before we start bringing this in for a landing. And then if you would be willing to come back next week and continue this conversation, because I'm telling you, I swear I just started scratching the surface and time is up. It's that Carol Burnett. I'm going to have to start singing the Carol Burnett song because it's just like, boom, we're out of time. So if you would be willing to come back next week and continue this conversation, would you be willing to do that?
Of course. Yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay. So then I'm going to ask this question before we start winding everything down. So one of the things that I'm curious about is Jeremy channeled this book to you, and I want to really get into that more when we come back for this second part. But before that, had you ever had that experience before? I mean, had you ever channeled anything before? Did you even, because I really didn't know much about channeling. Maybe 20 years ago, I got introduced to it, but I don't know if I ever really truly believed it. And then as time goes on, I believe it more and more and more, but I've never had an experience like you have had. So yeah, that's, I'm wondering if you've ever channeled before, and how did you feel about channeling prior to Jeremy's transitioning?
Well, I was listening, before Jeremy transitioned, because I heard Mother Mary. My mom, her boyfriend had transitioned. I could hear him. So when I get into, healing myself, about 8 years ago, I just became open to healing modalities and just being open to whatever, to help myself. So I was pretty open at that point in time. And then when Jeremy passed, it just kind of continued, I could hear him, and it felt normal to me. Not so normal to, a couple of my kids, my two older sons, they still kind of think, it's a little weird.
Right.
But my husband supported me, and he liked hearing the messages from Jeremy. Jeremy's girlfriend, liked hearing the messages. So it seemed normal to me. What was difficult is the people that didn't think it was so normal.
Right.
That was a little bit difficult to deal with, because I was going through my own stuff, and then to have people say, oh, that's not true or whatever, that was a bit difficult. And in fact, on the year anniversary of Jeremy passing, it's like my ears started to plug. It was almost for a year. Yeah, it was almost for a year. My ears were kind of closed, almost like I would hear underwater. And I knew that had a lot to do with, you got to finish the book and not listen to other people.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, then my ears cleared up a year later, with the assistance of a real good healer friend, and went on with life.
Wow. Isn't that it is just so I just love everything about your story, and I didn't know anything about this, and I just love this. And isn't it so true how the body will just say, all right, well, I won't listen to the stuff that I don't need to know, because the things that I do need to know, I don't even have to hear with my ears. And one of the things that you and I do have in common, and with your husband also, Terry, is Mary Morrissey and Life Mastery Consultants. And I know that was one of the things. And when I first heard Mary say that is, we didn't manifest ears so we could hear the outside world. We manifested ears so we could hear us. And it took me a long time to really get what she was saying with that. But that's exactly, and to me, that's exactly what the closing of the ears meant. Like, my ears are plugged to what these outside sources are saying, the good opinion of others. And I'm listening within, because I know those are where the answers are really, truly coming from, that are serving me. Oh, I just love it. We have so much more to talk about. Oh my gosh. I know. Does time just fly by? It's insane. It's insane. So I know for sure that before we end this call, that there's some kind of a special offer that you would like to offer the listeners. Can you share that with us, please?
Sure. Yes, we have, I have Jeremy's book, Jeremy Shares His Love from Above, along with his workbook. His book really tells a lot about, helping us to reconnect to us. It also helps you to connect with your heavenly loved ones, and a little bit of, helping you to grieve and move past, and live a joyous life, the one we're supposed to live. But I also have a workbook that will really, it's got writing activities in it that will help you to process really well, going through the grieving process, letting go, to ultimately getting to, living your best life. So I have this bundle, the book and the workbook, on my website, sprinklingsunshine.com, available right now for $19.97. So that is for anyone that is interested. That will be available for about the next week.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, and I will make sure that all of that information goes into the show notes. So anybody who missed that, do not panic. It will be in the show notes. And so you'll be able to easily access the Jeremy's book that he channeled, and then the companion workbook that goes alongside with that. So thank you so much for offering this special deal. It's so wonderful of you to do that. And I know that I will absolutely be purchasing these. So as we wind this down I have these rough landings. I have to work on my landing. So that's a rough one, but I want to thank you so much for being here with us, Rhonda. And I just have so much to talk to you about on our part 2. So I look forward to talking to you again shortly and getting the rest of the story. So thank you for being here. It's such an honor to spend this time with you.
Well, thank you so very much for having me, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Oh, awesome. And to all of the listeners, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to check out the show notes so you can get in on the special offer with Jeremy's book. And then be sure to join us next week to hear part 2 of Rhonda's story. Until then, take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information you can use right away. If you like what you heard here, please subscribe to our show, and don't forget to rate and review right there on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your shows. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.